Thank you, Mr. Shop, and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for having me here today. Maybe we can upload the first of my two slides. The next one, please. Actually, we go straight to page 4. Next. Next. I leave it there and don't tend to present like that, in case people want to understand a bit more about our company. MedcoEnergi, of course, is an Indonesian focused company. It's a company that started as a drilling company, then expanded into oil and gas, and over the past few years has grown from being an Indonesian company to a Southeast Asian player, but not just a player in the oil and gas, increasingly a player in the energy business. We moved aggressively into power generation, first gas, but then geothermal, more recently solar and hydro. I don't think, if I think of what all the panelists have been telling us today, it's difficult to find something new, something different to say, really. I like, therefore, trying to go back to the original question that Mr. Giovanni Brignone put to us. Can the oil and gas industry be part of the solution rather than just being, as today often it is, identified as the source of the problem? Obviously, Giovanni's is not a question, it's a challenge, really. Now, I think the answer is yes. This answer is yes, because as we've seen from the presentation, Mr. Richard and Meti, actually, this industry does have the skills, the capabilities, technologies, project management, especially important when you're talking about readdressing, restructuring an industry and the way we produce energy. But having the skills and the capabilities and the resources might not be enough. Does the industry have the will to be part of the solution? I think from what we heard today, this industry has a strong will to be part of the solution. Certainly a stronger will than he had yesterday. And I'm sure tomorrow we'll have an even stronger will than he has today. Just arising out of the increasing awareness of the magnitude of the challenge arising out of climate change, of the awareness of how our skills and capabilities may actually contribute to the solution, and actually awareness that either we are part of the solution or we are dead as businesses. However, when we translated these issues, these challenges, and we want to translate into a realistic, executable strategy, then we also need to really qualify and determine what is the scope of the challenge. And the challenge is not just about reducing and eventually, hopefully, eliminate carbon greenhouse gas emissions. Actually, the challenge is to do that whilst continuing to ensure the supply of sustainable, reliable, affordable energy for all. And that is the element that makes these challenges extraordinarily difficult. Someone said before, a monumental task. Now, we as a company, as an Indonesian company, we started looking at this issue about energy transition a few years back. And that's why, alongside our core oil and gas business, we started investing into power generation and making of our power generation business the platform for our expansion into the greener energy, into renewables. The next slide will be page 7, please. Next. Next. Leave it there. I leave that there for the curiosity of the ones who want maybe to dig more into the details. I know it's a busy slide. We try to capture in one page what is the essence of our company's climate change strategy. Now, starting from what they say before is, okay, realization of where we are, where we live. As we know, as have already been mentioned earlier, hydrocarbons will be a large part of the energy mix for the medium term. Now, I will have to add, especially in Asia, especially in Southeast Asia. So first, the realization is that the world will move at a different pace depending on the geography where we operate. I think European countries, most of European countries today are at the forefront in terms of commitment, in terms of resources, in terms of policies, because they have the infrastructure already, because they already have a very well developed and, let's say, rich population, because demographically, they're not growing fast. All elements which are so different from where we live instead. Southeast Asia is young, demographically still growing, the consumption of energy per capita is, I don't even know whether it's 1/10 average of what it is in Europe. And it's young. People want to grow, want to have access to a better, richer, healthier lifestyle. That is going to require a huge amount of new energy, not just to maintain what we supply today. So that is the first realization. Different parts of the world will move at a different pace. We, again, look at the strategy from the perspective of a company that is operating and has to make investment decisions for its future every day. Then we look at what's happening around us in the market. What we see is that a number of large international major oil companies, European, Americans, are rebalancing their portfolio, both in terms of structure as well as geographically. What does it mean? It means that, for example, in our area, we are seeing large producing assets becoming available for smaller, medium-sized producers like MedcoEnergi. As long as, of course, not only you can afford to acquire them, but especially as long as you can demonstrate that you will be able to do a job at least as good, if not better, in terms of cost efficiencies, in terms of emissions management and reduction. And you have to demonstrate that you can do better, otherwise you will simply not get the money for those acquisitions. For a company like ours, which heavily depends on access to international capital markets for this expansion, these are must deliver. So this is the framework within which we operate. These are the ambitions we set for ourselves to be part of the solution. And then again, when we look at how we go to transform into executable task and what goals we're setting ourselves, all right, after years of discussions, attempts, collaborations, engagement of a number of consultants who really sort of taught us a new language and new strategic frameworks. We came recently to publish our refreshed strategy, which is not, it's not something revolutionary for the industry, but it is quite represent a high level of commitment when you look at where you're starting from and where you operate. So Medco is committed, as many other companies, to achieve Scope 1 and Scope 2 net zero emission by 2050, which is the agreed, acknowledged critical date target for everyone. Do I actually know exactly how we're going to get there? Well, the answer, not yet. what we know and what we are doing is to elaborate roadmaps and action plans for the next 2 or 3 years, whereby we will be able to determine KPIs that are credible, sustainable, but especially KPIs that we can measure the progress, we can report, and international institutions will be able to check on our results. Because of the peculiarity of our company, we have therefore decided to articulate our strategy around three areas. The area number one, of course, reduce emissions intensity. With all of those, some technologies have already been mentioned, but of course, we're talking about energy efficiency opportunities. A lot of efforts are being made we are already zero flaring for a number of years, but obviously there is always more you can do in terms of working on, for example, methane emissions management. As you all know, methane is one of the most dangerous greenhouse gas emissions that we have to deal with in terms of the environment. I mean, we are applying a number of technologies. We are looking at new contractors and suppliers to help us with that. We are embedding new engineering concept and design in the new developments so that the new developments will be inherent